Fire when ready.
When you're ready.
Hello, everybody, and I think we're cooking. We're good to go. All right. First time flying solo on Sports Tonight. I hope everybody is well and staying dry out there with Hurricane Helene on the way. We got a lot to talk about here on Sports Tonight. Listen, guys, whenever there's a big weather story, chances are it's going to be a big sports story too. And that's exactly what we've got going on here this afternoon because the Atlanta Braves and the biggest series of the season for the Atlanta Braves, we're going to have to wait a little longer to see this series play out between the Braves and Mets because it has been postponed to Monday. We are going to have a Monday doubleheader. So tonight's games and tomorrow's game postponed to Monday. So we're going to have a Monday doubleheader between the Braves and Mets at Truist Park beginning at 1:10 p.m. and a series that will more than likely. Are we on here? Yeah, we are on. Jordan helped me out. It is a series that will more than likely decide who goes to the postseason with that final wild card berth. So a game that really should have been played today. I mean, it didn't really start raining in Atlanta until this afternoon, and you know, it's a game that Major League Baseball, as they tend to do, took a really long time to get sorted out and finally come up with a decision. And by the time that decision was made, it was dumping buckets of rain here in Atlanta. So no Braves game tonight, no Braves game tomorrow. We're going to have two Braves games on Monday beginning at 1:10 p.m. And I think the most frustrating thing for Braves fans is that, especially looking at the matchup tonight, Chris Sale, he was ready to go. He's been the Braves' most reliable starting pitching option. Yeah, who knows what it's going to look like on Monday. This was lining up really well for the Braves, just being a half game out of that final wild card spot. So we're going to have to wait, and now makes this weekend against the Royals that much more critical, honestly. I mean, you got to win 2 out of 3 or sweep Kansas City to really feel good about going into that Monday doubleheader. And, by the way, if the Braves do end up, advancing to the postseason and qualifying for the playoffs, they're going to have to turn around and play that first wild card game the very next day. So nothing's going to be easy for this Atlanta Braves team. But hasn't that kind of been the theme of the season so far? I mean, whether it be injuries, you name it. This has been a really difficult go at times for the Braves, and it's not going to get any easier for them with Monday's doubleheader. Let's switch gears for a minute because the other major thing going on in Atlanta this week is the Atlanta Falcons and the fact that they really had a chance to beat the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football in front of a national audience. First Sunday Night Football game since 2019 for the Atlanta Falcons, and as Kirk Cousins said, really kind of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory for the Falcons on Sunday Night Football against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But now you got to turn the page, and it's rivalry week for the Falcons out in Flowery Branch. The New Orleans Saints coming to town, and every time these two teams get together, it's something special. This week will be no exception, and I think there's a little more juice to this week, especially given that the Saints are kind of looking a lot better than a lot of people maybe anticipated. A lot of people in Atlanta, at least, anticipated the Saints looking this year. So the Falcons definitely with a bit of a chip on the shoulder after losing that game that they really could have, should have won on Sunday night. And head coach Raheem Morris out at Flowery Branch today, and quarterback Kirk Cousins, all the usual suspects, they were talking about this matchup with the Saints this week. And let's hear a little bit from them now.
As we kind of shift our focus to the Saints, understand the rivalry. And when I was in Washington, it was every game counts one. Eagles and Giants are big time divisional rivals, but the Cowboys were this team that mattered a little bit more. In Minnesota, it was the Packers, a border state. It was a big deal, and here I just get the sense that that's the Saints, and it's a great challenge for us, and we take that challenge seriously, and so it'll be a great opportunity. And we got the really cool throwback jerseys we're wearing this week, so that'll be fun. Yeah, looking forward to getting back out there in front of our fans and trying to get a bad taste out of our mouths and go get a win on Sunday. So take any questions you have.
Yeah, Kurt, Coach Zach is talking about the third down, looking at that thus far this season. What do you all come up with maybe to, get that percentage a little bit higher?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of factors. I wish it was as simple as one thing we could hone in on, but it's probably a variety, and among that would be let's get in third and shorter distances, first of all, and then when we have like a 3rd and 1, let's try to, it kind of takes on a different framework than when you're in 3rd and 6. You might be in the shotgun and dropping back, but trying to get the short yardage, trying to get those more medium ranges as opposed to being in 3rd and 10 plus too often. And then I think a lot of that comes down to your 1st and 2nd down offense, and staying out of penalties. And so everything kind of builds on one another. And then some of those 3rd downs are in the red zone. And so really you kind of talk, yes, it is 3rd down, but it's a little different when it's 3rd and goal from the 4. That's a different thing than 3rd and 4 at the 50-yard line. So trying to be really effective in our 3rd down red zone offense. And that's a place I think we can be better. So those are a couple ways to improve it. And then outside of that, I think you'll get a lot, as you look at it, you get a lot of one-offs where you say, well, on that one play, that was the reason we didn't convert, but that wasn't a repeating theme throughout all these 3rd downs. So then you get a few of those one-offs where it's harder to feel like that's a consistent thing to point to.
Yeah, I counted 10 of those, 5, 3, and 10s, and I gave them 9s in there, threw them in there.
9 yards to go.
Yeah,
good. Me too. I would throw it in there too. It's pretty far. 9's a lot farther than 6.
So
Appreciate you giving us that 9.
So it's like 10, you're still 6 or 17, so it's, that's probably a couple more there.
Yeah.
It looked like some were just misses.
I think so. I think there's, man, I mean, I was pretty sick to my stomach, walking off the field and, Sunday night, Monday morning, Monday night, Tuesday morning, Tuesday night, with some of those, opportunities we did have that we didn't capitalize because, when I vent to family or whatever, one of the things my brother said was, hey, everything you're telling me, Kirk, these are all fixable. This is all stuff that it's not like you're throwing up your hands going, what do we do next week? This is all stuff that you go back, you talk about it, you resolve it, and you'll be better next week. So I'm taking that approach of, a lot of the stuff that I look back and go, man, I wish it was different. It can be addressed. It can be fixed. We have the players, we have the coaches, and we can go be better.
Max said you guys go through 3rd downs on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you practice? Is it just making sure
the
short yardage, or what are you doing?
Yeah, the way it's always been for me in the league, every team I've played on, Wednesday becomes kind of a 1st and 2nd down emphasis. Thursday becomes a 3rd down emphasis, and Friday becomes a red zone emphasis. And then you can certainly sprinkle things in around that, but that's kind of how you stack it and how you prepare, how you watch tape throughout the week. So, I always feel like Thursday is your big day, your long day because of that, because 3rd downs are so important. Your walkthrough is very important. Your practice reps are important, your post-practice reps, and then, even the tape you watch and kind of the review at night when you go back over it to make sure you're dotting I's, crossing T's, and thinking of down-the-line issues that could come up. So Thursday's a big day every week as you prepare because of the emphasis on 3rd down.
Important work happening with Ryan Newsel at center.
Yeah.
That's obviously overlooked, but very important.
No doubt.
Over the course of your career, what's a characteristic in a center that you value
Sure.
in the moment?
Well, I think you love the ability to kind of see the whole picture, be decisive, making calls quickly. You like the sense of urgency from a center because you're always fighting the play clock, and the center kind of leads the tempo out of the huddle to the line of scrimmage, making the call, getting everything set. And so you want them to move fast and almost be a step ahead of you. And it's great that Newsel's had so much action and has played a lot, been around a while. So, there's subtle differences where he's a lefty instead of a righty, or how the ball may rotate on a pistol snap or a gun snap. You just got to, get the reps to get comfortable with it. But, once you do, it just goes instinctually.
You talk a lot about shared history and kind of constantly
Yeah.
from OTAs to training camp and everything. I think I know how you're going to answer this, but the first 3 games with this kind of new group, the opponents were combined record of 8-1.
Yeah.
In every game.
Yeah.
To win every game.
Right.
I know how you probably feel about that, but
Yeah.
there's some solace in that.
Yeah.
We're not far off of the best teams in the league.
I feel like you're being really kind, and I appreciate it. He's coming up with 3rd and 9 instead of 3rd and 10. You're kind of giving me the out to talk about how grass half full. You guys are nicer than I'm used to, so I think I would say yes. Okay, I agree that I knew going into this. Hey, there's going to be some growing pains. We're going to have to figure this out as we go because there is some newness. But it's the NFL, and nobody wants to hear that, and I don't really want to hear that. And so, the season started against the Steelers. There was no, ramp up. So, talking out 2 sides of my mouth. But you kind of opened the door to do that. So I think you know what I'm saying. We got to be better.
I guess there is the new group, and there's also you coming off the injury.
Mm-hmm.
What have been like the hardest things about the first 3 games as far as like is it mental with the injury? Is there nothing at all? Like what is kind of going
Yeah, I don't walk off the field saying the ankle affected the game. I do say we're going to keep getting better as we get more time on task together. But I think every other team's saying that too. So there's a little bit of every week that we get those experienced reps, so is our opponent, and so it can only take you so far in that regard.
What do you feel like there's that getting better? There's more upside because
I think so. I came out the field feeling like Mooney and I had a little more of a connection than we had maybe in the first game of the year. Drake as well. I think that getting Kyle going on that big corner route for a big gain. I just think the more we can put that on tape, have those shared experiences, I think it'll build confidence, anticipation, trust, all those things you want to have with your receivers, and then the same too from a coach standpoint, game planning standpoint, just knowing that what he wants, what he's looking for. Hey, when I get this pressure, he wants the ball to go here. Just the more we stack up time together, the more you kind of can finish each other's sentences.
When you're looking at this week, the next couple with all these division matchups, like just how important are these next couple weeks?
Yeah, I think you can talk out 2 sides of your mouth. On one hand, they all count one, and you got to find the wins wherever you can get them, and you're not going to really differentiate one over another. They all count one. I think then you can also talk about how NFC South games, sort of count a little more because the goal is to win the South and be able to host a playoff game. So, that has value. And then you talk about the Saints being a rival, and so you certainly feel like these games here now approaching, do have that added weight.
Well, the first rivalry game against the Saints, but I'm wondering if you've caught the vitriol from your in-laws and how much
Yeah.
big of Falcons fans they are. Have you gotten?
Yeah, I've definitely got it. I've got it from a lot of fans in town. They made it clear going back to if I would be out in public in April, May. I mean, they made it clear. They take the S off of the team name, So it's a big deal, and so we want to deliver for our fans. I thought they brought a great environment on Sunday night. There was great energy, and I want to see that continue throughout the season.
Justin Simmons was talking in the locker room after the game about how he felt like it was important to find you on the field and share a conversation, telling you, hey, I think that we have a good team. We could be really good.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it for a defensive guy on your team to do that and then to also ask you, how do we get better on our side?
Yeah, I appreciate him. I appreciate Jesse. Certainly their experience, the pros that they are, the players they are, the way they've been playing this year. I just value their perspective, and I just think our defense has been playing winning football, and that's encouraging. Going back to being glass half full, when you see the way our defense is playing, you say, hey, that's going to give us a shot here, as we move forward. Because you do, I think you do need to have strong defensive play to have a chance. I've been a part of some teams where you had really good offense, but when the defense was struggling, it was hard to win. And so when you can play complementary football, it is where you can really take off. And when I look at our defense, I see them playing winning football, and that's really encouraging.
Going back to the center conversation, I know it's such a critical position for you to be successful. So how quick were you like, hey, Newsel, let's get on this page?
I was sprinting to the sideline when I saw Drew go down. Well, first of all, Drew was walking towards the sideline, and I'm thinking, no, don't trot into the bench. You go down on the ground so you can buy me time to get some snaps with Newsel. So I was like, you go down, take all the time you need, TV timeout, run a bunch of commercials. And I was screaming for Newsel, and I said, give me a ball. So I was screaming for a football. And so, then we just started getting under center snaps, shotgun snaps, pistol snaps, just trying to make sure that it was be as clean as possible.
So we're definitely working to correct those, knowing that those are some critical situations, especially third downs in the red zone, being able to convert and score points like the other night. We got to be able to do that. So definitely some good reflection throughout the week, and we got third downs tomorrow, so it'll be good to get those reps and get it going.
It's a simple matter of keeping what worked. You had Mooney had a couple, Drake had a couple, and Ray, and one more I'm not recalling. The one was a touchdown, but then staying out of manageables.
That's probably been the biggest thing when you look at the plays that are getting called throughout the game. We're in a lot of 7, 10, 8, 9, 10 yards, which is, those are going to be harder to convert. So that's where the efficiency on offense, especially on first down, being able to stay ahead of the sticks, getting third and manageable when we need those situations. That's the biggest thing with it, staying out of 3rd and 11, 12. We've had way too many of those throughout the first 3 weeks.
How do you, teach making sure that doesn't happen? Is that just practice? I mean, you try to do drills and...
Yeah, Thursdays are the third down day, so you try to get as many, reps of third down that day. You kind of go first down, second down, and you might have 2 third downs back-to-back to emphasize the third down day. But it's repetition. It's guys, feeling the space on the field, understanding exactly where the QB thinks you're going to be, running the right route, the right depth, all those things that go into execution on offense. I think those are the things that we got to definitely clean up.
I know we talk a lot about Kirk's connection with his receivers, Kirk's connection with Bajan, but the relationship that I think a lot of people overlook is Kirk's relationship with Drew Dahlman. Not having him, he's on IR for the next few weeks, potentially longer. What can you kind of tell us about, from your perspective, having had that type of relationship yourself as well? What is it about that relationship that needs to be established fairly quickly?
Sure.
That you don't necessarily think of right off the top of the head?
Sure. I think, first of all, Newsel's done a great job. He's been here, as you guys know, and Coach Ledford all throughout OTA's camp, he does a great job of mixing him in there with Kirk. So it's not like they're getting, a feel for each other for the first time. Or some of the gun snaps maybe a little bit different, underneath the center a little bit different. All those things that you just have a comfort with your starting center naturally. But I think these guys will be accelerated. Both are, so attentive to what they're doing, and they were working on stuff, after practice and snaps and everything. So, it's not like we've got a brand new guy coming in. Newsel's got great experience in the system with the calls. Thought he did a great job the other night stepping in on short notice, him and Storm. So they got to quickly build, the relationship, but they've already got a pretty good foundation. Now it's just kind of taking it to that next level.
Look at some of the drives you guys have had. Some of them have been very good, very smooth, very efficient. The last one against Philly, the first one on Sunday night against the Chiefs. How do you kind of extrapolate from that and kind of make that more consistent across the board? Because sometimes it looks good, sometimes,
Sure. No, 100%. That's what we're trying to be, as consistent as we can at all times. And like I said, each drive is kind of its own entity, and just making sure that we're connected all as one. I thought that Philadelphia game, like you mentioned, you could just feel all 11 connected the entire time. And that comes from us as coaches bleeding into these guys. So we certainly have our hand in a lot of responsibility with that. So we're continuing to build chemistry as an offense as well. These guys are getting a feel for each other. We've had a ton of reps banked in the off season and training camp, but the games are, naturally just a little bit different. So feeling what guys' game day demeanors like, all those different things that go into it, I think these guys will just continue to get more comfortable with each other and continue to build on that execution that we're looking for.
When it comes to complementary football, how do you kind of balance the relationship between time of possession and getting the defense a little bit of a break and then
Sure.
explosive plays and
Yeah, I think we're always going to try to be as efficient as we can and explosive as well. And a lot of that is going to come down to the third down execution, but also, like we mentioned, just staying ahead of the chains to where we can convert those. So everything in football goes hand in hand. there's outlier games, that happen to where maybe you don't win the time of possession, but you score a bunch of points. And, that's where football is just such an imperfect game. And you're always trying to look for those reasons why. And we'll just continue to just focus on what we can do as an offense to be more efficient, and those explosives will definitely come.
Across the league, passing seems to be down over the first 3 weeks, and rushing is up. You think that's something to that? Is that a trend, or is that just?
I haven't looked at it that closely. We kind of just get in our own little box, watch around the league. What other teams that you like to look for ideas and those things, but haven't looked at many of those things statistically, so wouldn't be able to answer that fairly. But I know a lot of teams, you can be efficient by running the football first and foremost with all the too high shells that you see. So I haven't looked at it that closely though.
It's like historically for a quarterback for the first 3 weeks.
Is that right? Yeah. Well, it's got to get better. We need to score more points. It's not fun when we don't score points.
Is there any difference, like, getting the ball snapped from a lefty center versus?
I had a lefty center in college, was with him for 5 years, so it just became natural. But at first it feels a little different, like it's coming in backwards, almost like a lefty spin, throwing the football. So I think after you get that initial kind of feel for it, it's really nothing. But definitely at first it is a little bit different.
What have you seen from Bijan in his development as a pass blocker?
It's been outstanding, and Mike Petrie does a great job with those guys, and the toughness in that room, whether it's Bijan or Tyler Algier, those guys have that at all times. We know how special they are as runners, but Bijan has really stepped up to the plate and given us extra little click that Kirk needs in the pocket whenever we do get those pressure situations. So, you throw on last year's tape and seeing the progress that he's made has been really cool, and he's such a team guy. He just wants to do whatever he can for the team in those situations.
How much have you guys looked at that 4th and 1 play at the end of the game? I mean, because Coach Raheem said basically just not blocking ball.
Yeah, that was it. We'll keep the kind of schematics and everything in-house on it. We felt collectively good about that play in that situation, and then unfortunately it just didn't go our way.
When it comes to finding that consistency, it seems like those scripted plays, the 2-minute offense, those are where you kind of, the team as itself, it kind of finds is gelling, it seems. What's the next step? Is it just getting that familiarity? Is it like communication? What is that next?
Yeah, I think it's everything. It starts with me and the flow of the play calls and all those things that go into that. That we have our hand in as coaches, and then it's just executing the plays that we should execute. That's what we've talked about from the jump, is really kind of our energy that we play with, the edge we play with, and then the execution. And so those things all go hand in hand together. When you have all three of them going the right way, then you can definitely have some success. So we'll always focus on, the plays are the plays. Obviously, there's going to be some schemed up things that we have, but then the staple plays that we do have, we got to execute, and we got to be on the screws and all the details at all times.
And obviously, you're looking at just this game, but that's a start of the division and everything, how close it is. Just how are you evaluating that and overall within the next few weeks?
Yeah, obviously we're excited to get into some divisional play here. Had some really tough opponents those first 3 weeks. Those were really good football teams. Tested us in a lot of ways, whether it was the first game, second game on the road, and then this past game against a really good team. So those have set us up to where we are right now. And, this is my first time being, going against these guys within the division. We've played them when I was in LA, but it's definitely a different feel with that division rival. Totally understand that. So I know these guys are chomping at the bit to get ready to go against a really good team.
Going back to Bijan and pass pro for a second, that explosive to Kyle Pitts, I know it's not just Bijan, but when you look at the film, how much does that play just not happen if he doesn't make that one?
No, it's huge. It's the pass protection, the route detail, all those things. Kirk clicking from 1 to 2 to 3 to be able to see that. Kirk is such a great progression passer, like we've talked about, really since the off season. So if he gets that extra click, we know he's going to find the open guy. That's where that pass pro with all 5 offensive linemen and Bijan is so critical, because when he gets that extra click, we've seen what it can look like.
Speaking of Kyle, through 3 games, he only has 11 targets so far, which is 4th on the team. Is that a concern for you, or do you just see that as a natural consequence of just the way the game is?
Yeah, I think, it's hard to say. You know, coverage can dictate so many different things of where the football goes. Of course, you're wanting to get the ball in his hands. I thought that was a huge play the other night that obviously got us going when he caught that and got down to the one there before we scored. So he'll continue to get the ball in the flow of the offense as it goes. I know there were some opportunities, obviously, where he could have had more the other night too. So he's doing a great job. He played really fast the other night. I think the more that he can be detail-oriented, play as fast as he did, the ball's naturally just going to find him.
You talk about Kirk being a progression passer and being good at it and everything. It's not like he needs to be comfortable as a quarterback. He's already comfortable. But when it comes to him being comfortable with his receivers, how have you seen that progress in these first couple of years?
Yeah, I think you're continuing to build that. You know, there's certainly times where you see it, whether that's in training camp, OTAs, and you see him and Drake connect on a deep ball, and then the other night it's that close. So you know the next time those guys get that opportunity, you're banking on them winning that rep. So they're continuing to gel. They're working out, you know, practice after practice, working on routes, and continue to build that rapport. But nothing, you know, everything's about those game reps together, and so I think they'll just continue to grow.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so there we have it. That is the Atlanta Falcons offensive coordinator Zach Robinson and quarterback Kirk Cousins talking about what this weekend is going to be like for the Falcons. It's an important weekend, no doubt. I'd go as far to call it a must-win for the Falcons, especially when you talk about the off-season expectations and the fact that Atlanta is expected to contend for, if not win this division. This is a huge weekend for Atlanta, so I'm going to go ahead and call it a must-win this Sunday in the Benz, home field advantage against the rivals, the Saints. Hearing a lot of Falcons fans out there calling them the Aints this weekend, so it's going to be a ton of fun. Let's quickly switch gears and talk about the Dogs for a minute. University of Georgia with their biggest game of the year on the road at Alabama this weekend, number 2 versus number 4. Georgia, actually a 2-point road favorite. Look, we know what Kirby Smart's troubles were against Nick Saban's Alabama teams. This is not Nick Saban coaching the Alabama Crimson Tide anymore. Kalen DeBoer is the head coach of Alabama. So a new era in this Georgia-Alabama rivalry. Hopeful to get Mykel Williams back. We don't know exactly if or when we will, but huge piece for the Dogs defense. Obviously, Tate Ratledge on the offensive line had tightrope surgery, so he'll be out for a while with that high ankle sprain. If you're Georgia, in my opinion, you got to start fast and start firing those explosive plays. And then on the other side, limit Alabama's explosive plays. A couple of stats I wrote down here. Georgia ranks 73rd in explosive plays. That is a play of 20-plus yards. They finished 6th in that category a year ago. A stark difference. And we saw Carson Beck and the offensive struggles on the road at Kentucky. Obviously, Georgia had a week off to maybe try to correct those things. We can only imagine how hard they went in practice. We know Kirby Smart certainly coached them hard in practice. Time will tell to see how Georgia comes out of the gate here on the road environment again for the second straight week in the SEC. Looking forward to that one. And our own Bailey Burmaster will be on the scene with coverage in Tuscaloosa this weekend. If it's your first time here, we always round out the night, I should say, with what's on your mind. If Ellie Parker were here, she would be laughing at me because what is on my mind, what has been on my mind all summer long? My San Diego Padres. And the fact that last night in LA, the San Diego Padres turned not a run-of-the-mill single play, not a double play, but a triple play to end the game on the road in LA, beat the Dodgers, and book their ticket in the postseason. I had never seen anything like it in my years of watching baseball, period, whether it be the Padres or not. Really impressive to watch. San Diego, I'd like to think, is that team of destiny right now to lock up a wild card berth and maybe make a run at the NL West here in the final week of the season. And, obviously with these rain cancellations here today in Atlanta, hopefully the Atlanta Braves can get it together very soon and make a run at their own wild card. this next week. So lots to talk about in the world of sports. Thank you for watching Sports Tonight on ANF Plus. And in the words of Ellie Parker, go watch some sports. Have a great night, everyone.